Ladies and gentlemen, RosterWatch Nation, welcome back to the epic RosterWatch Podcast, brought to you by RosterWatch.com. My name is Alex Dunlap, here with the Trashman. Finally have my home studio set up, back up and running. Hopefully, if I fall off here during the broadcast, you'll know that I'm back on Mega Tilt. Trashman, what the hell's going on, brother?
Not too much, trying to deal with Austin allergies.
Yeah, you know what? I got tested. I've always thought I had allergies, and maybe I did when I was younger, but it turned out that once I had kids and stuff, I was like, God, my allergies have gotten so much worse. I went to the Austin Allergy Clinic to go get tested. I'm not allergic to anything. It's just my kids get me sick consistently. It's like these little snot-nosed kids, man, touching on me and touching everywhere. Yeah, so a bit, but trust me, Trash Man, I've been here my whole life. I think at some point you kind of get used to it, and it just goes away. I think it goes away.
I don't know. It's not going away.
Well, I mean, when you're in the throes of it, it doesn't feel like it's ever going to go away. But I think one day it'll go away for you, brother. Maybe. It just snapped off from me one day after almost 40 years. All right, to the waiver wire cheat sheet. First of all, thanks to everybody who's here with us. Thanks to everybody watching, listening. As I mentioned, sorry about missing the last few weeks here with Trashman. He's done a good job sort of holding it down, though. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat about who you can drop this week, who you're safe to drop. But I think probably the most important thing to talk about here is, if there's a player that you need on your waiver wire and somebody who might be better than one of these guys that we're talking about. I mean, there are even a couple guys on this week's waiver wire cheat sheet who, we're week 15. Most of you are in the first week of your fantasy playoffs. It's time now that you can go all in. There's only about a 1 in 3 chance that a devastating injury is going to occur to somebody else's starting running back over the course of the next few weeks. And if that does happen, of course, if you decide to go all in this week on a Rashad Penny, or if you're a quarterback needy team that decides to go all in on a Taysom Hill or something like that, you'll definitely be out of luck if something were to happen next week to Nick Chubb or one of these other guys. Knock on wood. I hope nothing happens to Chubb. But at this point, you need to start making all-in decisions. We're at the end of the fantasy season. Do you agree with that, Trashman? And any other general fab stuff or just waiver wire stuff for end of season? How it's different now that we're in the playoffs?
Yeah, that tracks.
Okay, so is that what the kids are saying nowadays to say that I agree with you?
I don't know that kids are saying it. I think people in I don't know, I feel like business people say it a lot.
Is that what the middle-aged olds are saying?
It's like that Silicon Valley jargon. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's because you hang out with all these rich elites. Man. I'm out here in the woods, as you can tell by my internet connection the last few weeks.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just talk about it. At the very top of the waiver wire cheat sheet, of course, you think it's fine to just push your chips in on Rashad Penny. I agree. What did you see out of him? What do you think?
I mean, he looked good. He looked great. He looked like the best running back that Seattle has put on the field this season. Alex Collins looked like garbage. It makes you wonder what they were. Well, I mean, I guess when he was coming about, Rashad Penny wasn't really healthy. But now that Rashad Penny is healthy, I mean, you got to get him out there. And I guess the big question is, will he stay healthy? We've never really seen Rashad Penny healthy for any real length of time. But if he can stay healthy for the extent of the fantasy playoffs, he could help win some fantasy championships.
Let's see. The only problem with Rashad Penny is the remaining schedule. Week 15, he's going to have to play the Rams. Week 16, Chicago, who is not a great defense, not certainly not the monsters in the midway, but kind of been pretty good against the run. The good news is week 17 you get Detroit, and so it's not a bad run out for these guys. And we saw, I mean, the Rams, they're a good defense, and you fear the shit out of Aaron Donald, but the Rams in general, I mean, we saw James Conner have a good game against them just last night. I mean, we've seen backs have good games against the Rams, so I think it's true about Rashad Penny. He had 57% of the snaps. You got to remember it was against Houston. He's not going to be playing against Houston every week. You also got to remember that Pete Carroll and company are notorious for swindling us with these running back committees. But do you think that I can't imagine that Adrian Peterson is going to be active moving forward, right?
No, I can't. I mean, the thing is, Seattle still is not out of playoff contention. They haven't been eliminated, so I think they're going to do everything they can to, to get there. And I think that means, leaving Rashad Penny in there.
They're finally getting the payoff on Rashad Penny. My God. What are the Seahawks going to do at the end of this season? Are they going to get rid of Russell Wilson? Are they just going to fire?
I think
Pete
so.
Carroll,
I think there's a divorce coming.
Do you think that Pete Carroll's going to stick around? He's all of a sudden. I mean, he's been the oldest coach in the league for a long time. He's starting to kind of look old. You know what I mean?
Starting to look old. He's looked like one of the younger.
We've always said he like how can he be the oldest coach in the league? Now I don't say that anymore. I say, God damn, he's the oldest coach in the league. Like he looks.
Old. But I see a split coming this season. I think it's going to be some rebuilding for the Seahawks. I'm not terribly excited for it.
Everyone has COVID. Whether it was the report from Schefter, there was like 37 COVID cases. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like. Thankfully, it seems like this probably, hopefully, we'll cross our fingers. Hopefully, this wave in the U.S. ain't going to be quite as disruptive as the others, based on the evidence that we've seen. But apparently, this strain that's coming through is pretty contagious.
Pernicious,
pretty contagious. And so, the Miami Dolphins backfield has apparently been hit particularly hard, and Malcolm Brown is eligible to come back off of IR, and he's been sort of sheltered from this stuff. Hasn't been in the room with those guys. For as far as a 1 week rental, I think Malcolm Brown, you had him up here in this range. You had him in a range with this asshole Craig Reynolds, in which I just couldn't abide to have him. And there's no.
Well, I mean, I feel like the Lions feel it's a lost season, and I don't think they want to. I think they want to leave. I mean, I think they want to put Jefferson on the shelf for now. So I think it's going to be Reynolds and Igwebuike.
Oh no! Are you kidding me? All Igwebuike did last week. Did you watch that? He's miserable. He had 2 horrible fumbles. They're not going to keep going.
He did have a fumble, but I mean, but what I'm saying is, I think it's going to be Reynolds.
He had 2 horrible fumbles
for the most part moving forward.
Did they not count the second one down on the goal line?
I don't think so.
How did they not count it? That was a fumble.
I don't know. But I don't see if they're not playing Jeff. It was because he missed practices, I think. But it just, I don't know. That screwed a lot of people over last week.
We got Mark Yasko in the comments asking start 2 Ayuk, Mooney, Osborne, Pittman. Dude, how about this? Can once we make the matchup tool and we get our initial models up, come ask us on the side a little bit later tonight or tomorrow morning. We'll be a lot more helpful then. Right now, we'll be just completely shooting from the hip. Like, we need to get our models up and going. And before we get the models up and going, we always have to do the waiver wire cheat sheet for you guys. So the matchup tool will be up right after I get home from my kids' Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and we'll start getting the modeling done for this week's fantasy stuff. Trashman, interesting. We'll be getting it done a little bit early because we have Thursday games and we have 2 Saturday night games. 2 Saturday games this week. We're getting into that time of year.
Yeah,
Lovely.
we are.
The NFL is trying to steal me away from my family for an extra 7 hours every week starting now. Okay. But Craig Reynolds, they didn't play Jamar Jefferson until like the first series of the third quarter. That was a swindle, right? I didn't see any Jamar Jefferson in that game till the third quarter.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I read that maybe like they were saying that like because he missed practice this week or that week
with the illness.
Yeah, but
dude,
I don't know.
This guy Craig Reynolds is an utter jag. He's not gonna we can't. I mean, I would rather pick up Dearness Johnson with the looking like
really.
Yeah, because
I don't think he's gonna get his. Well, I mean, I just think Reynolds is gonna get the touches.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can't get some of those Dearness Johnson games out of my head, and I know the Dearness Johnson games I can't get out of my head are the ones that occurred with no Nick Chubb, and this isn't the same situation. Whenever Nick Chubb's healthy, Dearness Johnson, it almost doesn't even get the full Kareem Hunt role. But, we know the Kareem Hunt's going to be out. So, and Cleveland plays Thursday? Is that right?
Cleveland plays.
What's the Thursday night game? They either play Thursday or Saturday. I remember thinking it's a quick turnaround. NFL
Cleveland, Las Vegas
is what?
No, that's Saturday.
Okay, so it's so that's why I thought it was a quick turnaround. My bad. But they're saying they don't think Kareem Hunt's going to go. I think Dearness is fine. Talk about some of these other runners that you have here.
I mean, Boston Scott and Jordan Howard look like they could be manning the Eagles' backfield this week. Miles Sanders, it seemed like he was pretty badly injured that last game. I think that, and then at the bye, I think it's going to be Boston Scott and Jordan Howard for the Eagles this week.
Who was the running backs? I was thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, that's a quick turnaround for this hurt guy. Oh, do you know who it was? The Chargers guys, because the Chargers play the Chiefs on Thursday. So let's talk about the Chargers guys.
Well, I have them pretty high up too. I have Justin Jackson right above Josh Kelly, but I mean, I really think that you could probably flex either of those guys if Austin Eckler isn't playing.
Oh, God. I want Justin Jackson so much worse than Joshua Kelly. I was tilted at the beginning of this game for my leagues with Austin Eckler and my DFS lineups with Austin Eckler. That Justin Jackson, even before Austin Eckler got hurt, Justin Jackson was mixing in too much. I haven't the snap count tool just went up, and like we said, we haven't got started with the modeling yet, so I haven't looked at the snap percentages yet, except just for a few random dudes. But let me take a look real quick so I can just see what it was. Clearly, it's going to be a little bit off now because we know that he did get hurt during the game. But Justin Jackson, so 28% of snaps, but he had 10 touches. And
so did Kelly.
Kelly actually had 11 touches on 27% of snaps. But
he had 10 carries. Sorry.
You're right. But I think Justin Jackson is probably the more one-for-one replacement for Austin Eckler.
I mean, I have Jackson above Kelly, but I think Kelly's going to get double-digit touches.
I think Justin Jackson needs to be at the very top of this tier. He needs to be above fucking Craig Reynolds. Unless how sure are you that Boston Scott's not playing? Because then he should be at the top.
What do you mean, that Miles Sanders?
Yeah.
I mean, the word was coming out of that last game that it didn't look like he was going to be ready for Week 15. But they had a bye week this past week, so there hasn't really been much news.
I wish I could. Well, we need to look into that before we make this thing published. I'd like to see what Pro Football Doc says about that, because that would. How about this? For now, I'm just switching out Craig Reynolds and Justin Jackson. Because Justin Jackson and Boston Scott should actually probably be up in the next tier. Right?
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, they don't belong here around the Jordan Howards and the Craig Reynoldses and the Cory Clement is interesting.
Yeah, he is.
Because Cory Clement, this whole plantar fascia thing with Tony Pollard, I'm not sure how well that's gonna heal. And Zeke looks like that. I mean, golly,
he's not healthy.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if there wasn't someone with Tony Pollard, they would need to sit Zeke. The only thing about Cory Clement is he sucks.
I mean, he was one of the guys we kind of liked coming out of the Senior Bowl that year.
And Tyron Smith is hurt.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that Clement could get some run this week. I mean, he actually had.
Hold on, wait, Trashman. How old is Michael Carter right now? Is he available in this threshold of leagues? Because if so, he needs to be up here. Like, he needs to be above Malcolm Brown, Justin Jackson, and Boston Scott, I think.
I mean, they haven't activated him from IR yet, but I guess he's technically could return for Week 15.
Yeah, man. We should get ahead of that. Don't you think we should get Michael Carter on here somewhere with these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're banged up and hurt. They're going to want to get a look at these. They're going to want to get a look at him with Zach Wilson in there down the stretch. So I think Michael Carter should maybe just be at the top of this second part of this list. Michael Carter. And he's available in over 55% of leagues?
Actually, no.
How many percent?
He's available in like 47%.
Yeah, it's fine. I see we put him on the list. That's fine.
He's owned in 63% of leagues.
We're off by 8 percentage points. I think it's fine. but if he's not available, people won't pick him up. Okay, so I do like that. Any of these other running backs, I mean, do you even want? I guess Royce Freeman. You just want to talk about him because
Not really.
Well, he's on the list.
He's on the list, but I mean, it's going to be him and Rex Burkhead. That offensive line and just the Texans offense just looks so piss poor right now. Even with both of them splitting carries this past week, they pretty much canceled each other out for fantasy purposes.
One thing I was looking at, just one last thing about the running backs. I see you have Amir Abdullah on here. And as somebody I was looking at my first round buys that I have coming up with two of my main teams. And thank you very much to Trashman for knocking my ass out of a fucking first round buy in one of our oldest leagues. But in a couple
I should be in the playoffs in that league. I have the third highest points.
Yeah. Well, that's what the cockamamie rules will do for you. Don't even look at Anwar. He's got the second highest points in the league, and he isn't even in either. And he's tied with a bunch of teams that are like, 3 seeds and stuff. It's just those stupid rules. But what was I saying? Oh, about Chuba. Let me just look and see.
And Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah, he's been getting action like throughout the season, but he hasn't done anything significant.
I understand, but I just feel like, golly, I looked at their schedule and I just saw that Chuba has, like, during the playoffs, I know he has Tampa Bay and I know he has New Orleans. They're playing a lot of their NFC South schedule, and those are brutal teams to run on. And I think those are more Amir Abdullah games.
Could be, yeah. I could see that.
So I think that Abdullah, he's sort of interesting. I think I like him.
You have to like him. I mean, it has to be at 0.5 PPR better.
Yeah, but I think I like him at least more than Cory Clement and Royce Freeman and stuff. So I'm just gonna move him up just a little bit here. All right, wide receivers. None of these guys that you put in the Rashad Penny kind of area, but a few that you have here in the same area where if you're going to pay up to a substantial amount of your fab, but you don't really have that much left. You can make some big moves on these guys. I mentioned to you Devonte Parker. I think that if he's out there, you got to go get him, right?
Yeah, you got to get Devonte Parker. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is interesting. He's got 24 targets his last 2 games. I mean, I finally unleashed him. It looks like. I think maybe using him as kind of an extension of the run game there for the Lions.
Yeah, it was looking a lot like Josh Reynolds was kind of be the guy there, right? But
yeah,
it's just.
Reynolds still had an okay target share this past week. Yeah, I just think that Amon-Ra St. Brown he's a utility type player, and I feel like they kind of are wanting to use him like out of the backfield and then short passing game too, like as an extension of the run because they don't really have a run game.
What about some of these other guys? Which are the ones that you're super like highest on? If you're in need of a wide receiver, some of the dudes that are out there right now.
Gabriel Davis would be interesting this week. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders got injured this last game. And Gabriel Davis, if he starts for the Bills, I think he's got a lot of upside there.
Did the Bills not hand the ball off to a single running back in that game versus Tampa? I think that Josh Allen, he had 17 rushes or whatever. I think he was the only one who had a rush. Is that just?
He wasn't the only one, but it wasn't much.
What are you sure? I'd like to pull up the box score and just see. Let me just see. Bills, Patriots. I don't remember seeing anybody else get a rush besides him. But let me look and see. It's just I was trying to pull up a random box score here. This is great radio, I'm sure. So ESPN, Bills, Patriots, game summary, December 6th, 2021.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Singletary got 4 rushes. Matt Breida had 3. And Devin Singletary added 6 receptions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at Buffalo, New England, not at Buffalo, Tampa Bay. So yeah, all right. So you had Buffalo, Tampa Bay pulled up. Well, it was how much for Singletary?
4 rushes for 52 yards, 6 receptions for 37, and then 3 rushes for Matt Breida. for 12 yards.
Matt Breida. All right.
I mean, Zach Moss wasn't active. It seems like games where they have tough run defenses, Zach Moss isn't inactive.
All right. You have KJ Osborne up here too, and I'm hyped if Kadarius Toney is on my waiver wire. Feels like he's a nuclear weapon you can put in. The problem is, you better hope that you have the nuclear codes and you know how to deploy him, because he's the kind that can drop into your lap and just explode and ruin your whole fantasy season too, I think, right?
I mean, it seems like if he stays healthy throughout the game, he generally puts up for you.
Not
I feel like Gabriel Davis could put up similar numbers to a Kadarius Toney, and I feel like if Sanders can't make it this week, it's going to be a really good spot for Davis.
Not many questions coming in the chat here as far as who guys can drop and who they're comfortable dropping, et cetera, et cetera. But we will definitely have a few that I'm writing down here, and we'll keep an eye on that. Any other wide receivers you want to hit on, Trashman, before we talk about quarterbacks, Taysom Hill and stuff like that?
I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones. He had 90 yards and a touchdown this past week. It seems like they're going to him quite a bit there in the past game. It seems to be really just him and Landry as far as receivers go. And then Hooper, the tight end. Then Josh Palmer actually ran the most routes for the Chargers this past week. Jalen Guyton had the bigger game, but Palmer was in on more snaps. So we could see Palmer start to get, more consistent action for the rest of the season.
Jalen Guyton got there just on the big play too, just kind of like we expected. He was going to be used to clear those guys out, and Josh Palmer got a lot of the underneath looks that we're excited to see there from him. All right, talk about the quarterbacks. Obviously, Taysom Hill. You're going to want to, if he's available on your waiver wire, you should have gone out and gotten him last week. He was on the cheat sheets last week. But if you didn't, go get him, right? I mean, every time.
Yeah, even if he's not throwing the ball well, he does so much with his feet. I think he scored twice this past week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Allen Robinson should have been dropped a long time ago. Let's see. Here's another one. Okay.
Tyler Huntley could make an interesting start for Baltimore this week. He actually pretty decent against the Browns.
From a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, from a fantasy perspective.
I'm not sure some of the decisions that he made. All right, any tight ends, Trashman? I'll get out of here.
Austin Hooper's been getting some pretty decent targets at least 3 of these past 4 weeks.
This last week though, it was because Njoku had COVID.
Yeah. But even before that, he's been getting some looks. But, yeah, not much of the tight ends. Brevin Jordan starting to come on for the Texans. But the Texans suck. So,
ooh, here's an interesting question. All right. You ready for it, Trashman? Safe to drop or not? You can get all Trashman suggestions, of course, at rosterwatch.com. Find his suggested bids, his defenses, quarterbacks, etc. They're all in exact order. The waiver wire cheat sheet at rosterwatch.com, week 15 edition. Trashman, are you excited about getting busy with doing the Senior Bowl spotlights?
Oh, I'm champing at the bit.
Well, wouldn't you rather do that than write the fantasy fallout? We're gonna
I actually kind of like the fantasy fallout just because, it just makes me abreast of everything.
I guess that's true. Well, we're going to get you off of that coming at, I think it's probably your last week of fantasy fallout this next week. We're starting to start getting all the rookie profiles up. I'm personally pumped about it. We're making the Senior Bowl plans right now, seeing if we can even go out there as a whole crew with all of us. I'm not sure we'll be able to, but that'll just depend on everybody's schedules. But it'll be a good off season here at Roster Watch, and a bunch of awesome rookie content is going to be coming your way, even though the redraft fantasy season is kind of coming to a close here. All right, Trashman. Can you drop? What the hell did I write down here? Oh, Devin Singletary.
No,
yeah, the answer is yes.
Not in a PPR.
Why?
6 receptions this past week. I mean, he seems to be the most consistent of these Buffalo
Okay,
backs.
you can hold on to in a PPR, and you're probably never going to play him. Does Buffalo play Atlanta in Week 17 of the championship?
Let me see.
If that's, I think I remember thinking that I love Josh Allen's Week 17, and I think it was because it was Atlanta. I could be.
It is Atlanta.
Yeah, so maybe you can hold on to Devin Singletary. Another Bills player, Emmanuel Sanders.
Well, you can drop him right now because he's injured.
You could have maybe he's been bad for 6 weeks. Your golden son, Tim Patrick.
Honestly, I'm not excited about any of these Broncos receivers for the playoffs. But you could drop them.
Alexander Madison.
I don't feel like you can ever drop Alexander Madison.
Rondale Moore.
Yeah, you can drop Rondale.
Allen Robinson, who's back healthy.
Yeah.
we've been asked about him every week. Yeah. These are the two hardest ones, Trash Man. I mean, these are hard. Jerry Jeudy.
Like I said, I don't really like any of these Denver receivers for the playoffs, even though Jeudy seems to be the most consistent. They're just, yeah.
Would you drop it for a Devonte Parker, like a Kadarius Toney or someone?
Yeah. There isn't much upside there for Jeudy right now.
And this was just the super hardest, man. Because I don't know.
No touchdowns this season.
Is that true? Not as. Oh, Jesus. Here's the hardest one, Trash Man. It's like the what's not Boys in the Hood? What is it? What's the Boys, man? It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Boys to Men?
Yeah, Boys to Men. It's kind of like that. It's so
That's
hard.
That's the first concert I ever went to.
So do you remember at the middle school dances that was the last song? Yeah, Trash.
Oh yeah.
This is so it's so hard, dude. It's so hard. It's so hard to say goodbye to.
I saw them perform at the rodeo like 5 years ago.
It's so hard to say goodbye to Elijah Moore.
Oh yeah,
but he's on IR.
He's on IR. You can drop him, unless it's Dynasty League.
Then never drop him ever.